True story, I pretty much dropped out of college with 2 quarters left. Hello guys, welcome to my channel. It's so crazy that I'm saying that right now. Sorry if I'm a little awkward in front of the camera because I'm still really new at this. I promise that I'll get better. In this video, I'm going to share my story with you guys, transitioning in and out of college along with my mental health. Mental health, I think, is something that needs to be talked about. It just needs to be normalized because, to be honest, this is something that we all experience. There might be different extents to how we experience it, but ultimately all these feelings are pretty universal and so many of us feel very alone. I know I for sure felt alone, but the truth is we're not alone. And if I can share my mental health story and if this can help just even one person make them feel less alone at all, like, this is exactly why I'm doing this. So thank you guys for being here. All my other videos won't be like this. This is really just very deep. My goal with my other videos is to leave you happy and inspired to accept who you are, what you love, the gifts that you have, your purpose in life, figuring out how to get to your dreams if that's what you want to do, and just create the life that you want to live. So just to preface my story, I grew up in Irvine in a traditional Vietnamese family where my dad always wanted me to be a doctor. He would always say, Dr. Marguerite, all this stuff, and I had zero interest in being a doctor, to be honest, and I would tell him that and he would know. But he did always ask for straight A's for Christmas and his birthday. And I felt like no matter how hard I tried, I could never really give that to him. I was a pretty average student. I didn't really love any school subjects or anything like that. It kind of made me sad because a lot of my friends loved school. It was easy for them. I didn't understand, I didn't like anything. But it wasn't until my junior year where I took general chemistry and I loved it. I loved my teacher, he was so funny. I was just happy to like finally enjoy a class and like look forward to it. And so I moved on to AP chemistry my senior year, and even though that was known for being like notoriously difficult, I didn't care because I liked it, so I just went on with it. And before I knew it, college apps were due. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. All I knew was that I loved fashion, but that really was not an option at all. Like, it was just such a cutthroat environment. I knew I was gonna have to struggle for a long time before I could make it and be like super successful in the fashion industry. And honestly, the Devil Wears Prada scarred me. That was scary to me, honestly, and I was like not emotionally cut out for that at all whatsoever. So I just didn't even give myself that option. So I only liked chemistry at that point. But I didn't really see myself like as a chemist or anything like that. Like, I wanted more options. So I did pre-bio for UC Santa Barbara because for biology in Santa Barbara, you don't take any bio classes your freshman year. You just take like general chemistry. And so I was like, wow, that's like perfect for me. And I'll just test out bio when I'm a sophomore. And if I don't like it, then I'll dip, you know? So I did that, and freshman year was chill, you know, pretty easy. Then sophomore year comes around, and I'm taking my intro to bio classes and organic chemistry. My bio classes honestly like weren't that bad. It was actually kind of interesting because I could learn about what was happening in the human body, but also it was just like straight up memorization, like basic facts, basic processes, and I'm pretty good at memorization, so I was like, oh, like, this isn't so bad, you know? So, like, that was fine, and I was like, oh my god, like, maybe I like bio. Like, organic chemistry, on the other hand, is different. Like, you're not learning about things that are relatable, you know? Like, I love relatable shit, and so that's why I honestly thought bio was interesting. But in organic chemistry, you're like memorizing the relationships between different elements, like interacting with each other, and like how the lone pairs like jump around and shit. I can't even describe it, but it was really fucking hard. What got me through was I had bio friends, and we would honestly study together all the time for like hours, like every day. Like, honestly, it sucked. But we would be in it together, you know? Like, we would suffer together. Like, we would actually take turns like breaking down, but we supported each other and we like picked each other back up. We would use Adderall, which was so common, by the way. So common it kind of hurts. On Adderall, you would feel so accomplished because you could get so much done, because you could focus for like so long. I would feel so good about myself when I finished. Even on days where I wasn't planning on taking Adderall, sometimes my friends like would be taking Adderall. I would honestly just take it too, just because I felt like if I didn't, I would fall really behind. We started off not really taking it that often, maybe like once a week. That kind of sounds often. I would still feel bad about myself though, because I would come into these tests feeling so prepared, and I would come out feeling like, what was that? Like, these tests were 16, 17 page packets, all free response. Sometimes people wouldn't even finish them. It was a lot. It was really intense. I would study so hard, but my grades weren't correlating. The averages were around like 66%. Because the average was so low, like, it was bad for everybody, you know? Like, everybody was struggling with OChem. Like, it was meant to be hard. And so I just continued to persevere and just try harder, because it's not like I was the only one who was experiencing this. So I continued to persevere. So that was sophomore year. And then junior year was a little different because we all went down on our own paths. We started to have different schedules because we were in different majors, and we all didn't just need the regular intro to bio, like general studies anymore. I had to study a lot more by myself. I didn't have my support system anymore. I felt more alone going through this process. It was so much material, and I would have to spend hours like every day just straight on like studying, like doing work. That was hard for me to stay motivated all the time, or if I needed help, like I didn't always have friends to help me. I was still taking Adderall, and because Adderall made me feel so good when I was studying, sometimes when I was just normal studying, like not on Adderall, when I wasn't studying on Adderall, sometimes it would suck so much. I would just end the night, take Adderall the next day, and like catch up on like what I missed. Except I would rely more on those Adderall days to get a lot more done. I would feel really behind, and then I would start like slowly running out of time before the test, and I would freak out. Like, I just started getting a lot of anxiety. When I would express to my friends how I felt, how much anxiety I was getting, they would be like, Margs, you study all the time, like, you're gonna be fine. Like, when's your test anyway? And I would be like, oh, like next week. And they'd be like, oh my god, like, you're fine, it's literally next week. I just felt like they didn't get it, you know? Like, I also was not as smart as my peers, so I needed to try harder. I needed to study more just to be at their level. Sometimes I would come out of my study sessions feeling so disappointed in myself because I couldn't get as much done, and I would feel like a failure. I wasn't getting the grades that I needed in order to go into the medical path. At the time, I wanted to be a physician's assistant. I would feel really defeated. I wanted to get help, but like, it was hard for me to ask for help because I've never done it before. I didn't know that getting help was like a common thing. Like, nobody talked about it. I didn't know anybody who went to CAPS. but it really is a common thing. So if any of you guys do need help, like at all, like don't hesitate. Like it's so common. Everybody honestly needs therapy. Anyway, it wasn't until my spring quarter of that year, my junior year, when I was taking my neurobiology final, and I just remember flipping through the packet and only being able to answer the first question. And I was like, what? I remembered studying the topics, but I couldn't remember the details to answer the questions. Like I just closed my eyes a little and like a single tear came down and like another one came down. My heart started racing and like all these tears started coming down, and it was hard for me to breathe at that point. I was full on having a panic attack, which I've never had before, so I was doing like all the wrong things. When you're having a panic attack, you're supposed to name the colors and the shapes and the textures that are around you, you know, focus your mind on the external. And I was trying to get myself to calm down because I was in a fucking lecture hall full of...
It cut out on the clip when I was recording, but what I meant to say was that I was in a lecture hall full of people taking a final. Also, sorry, I look really bad. I am sick.
Finally, my teacher notices me and he takes me to the side and sends me to the counseling office. So I had to get to that point in order for me to see a therapist, which I wish did not happen, but I'm just happy that I was able to get help at that point. So I start seeing a therapist and I'm telling her how much anxiety I'm getting, and she suggests that I take a 5th year. She's like, you can spread out your classes and you can also have time to do other things. At first I was like, a 5th year? Are you serious? Like my friends are gonna think I'm so dumb and I'm not gonna be able to walk with my friends. But honestly, being a 5th year is so common. It is so normal and there's like nothing wrong with it. So I got over myself and I decided to stay the 5th year. I spread out my classes and I thought things were gonna get better, but they didn't. I would still find myself having a really hard time studying and getting myself to be motivated. So my therapist is like, well, you need to figure out your why for when the times get hard. Like, why do you want to be a PA? Like, why are you studying this? And I was like, well, I like really want to make my parents happy. I want to like make a lot of money to support them and like support the lifestyle that I want to live. And I love fashion, but that's just not an option because I would have to struggle a lot before I could be successful. And she was like, aren't you struggling right now? And I was like, oh my god. I didn't realize it. She was just like, you honestly never even gave yourself the option to even think about going the fashion path. Like, it's such an unknown world because it's so unconventional. Like, why don't you just do your research on like what path you would take, like what you would even do if you were to go that path, and if you realize like that's not the path for you, you don't like it, then you'll find motivation to study for biology because that's the path that you want to go on. Such good advice, by the way. So I do that and I love it. I've always loved it. I grew up loving it. Like, fashion is like my thing, you know? And so I was like, fuck. I felt like I was in so deep. Like, it was my 4th year, literally. I remember studying for my physics test. My test was tomorrow. I was staring at the practice test. Each question was like, I don't know the answer to this. A wagon is pulling a box with a string going this way. What's the friction force of the box? Like, I would just be like, I don't know. Like, have you guys ever taken physics? Like, it's not fun. I literally felt like such a failure. Like, I couldn't even get myself to study for this test. And like, I couldn't answer or remember any of these questions. Like, my brain just wasn't thinking clearly. I was taking so much Adderall that my brain felt fried. I couldn't even focus. Like, it wasn't even helping anymore at that point. I felt just worthless and dumb. Such a disappointment. And I couldn't take it anymore, and I literally just started crying. It was so embarrassing. I was in the student resource building. I didn't know what to do. I was so devastated. I was honestly going to bike to the cliff. I knew there was more out there, luckily, so I biked home, and I'm so happy that I did. Vicky, my roommate at the time and one of my best friends, she was sitting with me. I'll never forget what she said. It was so simple, but she was just like, Margs, like, you know, you don't have to do this to yourself, right? She's like, my cousin went to medical school and she hated it and dropped out. Now she's in public health and she's so happy. It's just so eye-opening for me. Like, I don't have to do this to myself, you know? Like, this wasn't the only path like I had to go down, even though it felt like that. In that moment, a weight felt lifted off my shoulders. It just felt like something actually was happening for me, if that makes sense. Like, I was actually excited for the rest of my life. Like, I didn't know what was going to happen, but I just felt it in my bones. So I just honestly decided to ask my mom and just tell her, like, my heart's just not in it. Like, this is really difficult for me. Like, I tried really hard. Like, it's not like I just gave up, you know, or like didn't want this. And she was honestly very supportive of me because she knew how much anxiety I was getting. She was honestly worried. Seeing the state that I was getting in just really scared her, and she would have rather had me do something that I love rather than like go through that. She's like, you need to finish your degree first and then you can go to fashion school. And so I was like, okay, valid, like, I'll take it. So I am happy that I don't have to beat myself up anymore for not getting straight A's. Like, now I just have to pass my classes and then I can do what I love. Like, I was taking computer science and like physics. Like, it was really hard for me to just comprehend. Like, it wasn't just like these bio classes that were like at least interesting to me. It was so hard for me to like do the work for the class, even if I just needed to pass. My days honestly got duller. The colors of things started to fade. It was harder for me to eat even when I felt so hungry and like I was starving. Like, I couldn't get myself to swallow food. I would want to sleep all the time because I was so tired and exhausted. But even though I slept more, I didn't wake up feeling refreshed. I felt the same. I was in such a negative mental state that I didn't even want to be around people because I felt like such a burden. I wasn't happy. I couldn't bring anything positive to the table. Like, I would just bring people down. Like, even on Fridays and Saturday nights, I would want to stay in and just lay in bed. And around like 10:30, I would wake up to like an empty house. People were like out having fun. I would feel so alone. I didn't realize how depressed I was until I just didn't even have the energy anymore to go to class. And when I did, I would just sit there. Like, I had nothing to look forward to because I was going to be in school for another year without any of my friends. And that honestly scared me because I felt like even though my friends were here right now, I wasn't even in a good mental state. Everything was just so dark. I was taking Adderall one day and it wasn't doing anything for me, and I was so depressed. It wasn't helping anymore. I went to student health and turned myself in. I was like, I'm just really struggling right now. I'm addicted to Adderall. Like, I couldn't not take it. And it wasn't like a physical addiction where I needed to take it every day. It's like I would just plan on using it. Like, I couldn't study without it anymore, and it got so bad. And this is so common, and it's honestly really scary. I wish that I just didn't even really take it at all in the first place, because it feels so good at the beginning. You don't have any symptoms at the beginning and you get so much done, but you start to rely on it more and more, and then you depend on it. I was so just tired all the time, and I wasn't eating, I wasn't taking care of myself, and I felt like this guilt, and I was so ashamed for being like addicted. Like, I just didn't want to be a part of it anymore. So I'm going through this withdrawal, and I'm going through the pain of trying to get myself to do schoolwork and go through school, just like trying to get through my days. It was so low. I felt trapped. There wasn't a light at the end of the tunnel. Mine was really small and really far away. It just got so bad that I couldn't even function anymore. I just didn't even feel like myself. I didn't know how I got there. One weekend, really close to the end of the year, my parents were visiting. I just decided to tell my mom, because it's so bad, I can't handle it anymore. Mom, I am having the hardest time, so depressed. Like, can I please transfer to FIDM? I just ask her, because what's the worst she can say? No. She looks at me and she is so concerned. Just hugs me immediately and is like, please take care of yourself. Like, it hurts to see you like this. Please just go do what you love. That was honestly a really great moment for me. But the thing is also, like, I just want to be completely transparent with you guys. Like, it's not like everything just went uphill after that. Like, I was so deep in my depression that even after, like, in the summer, after, like, I knew I didn't have to go back, I was still so depressed because my body was just so used to being like that. It was so hard for me to get out of it. Like, my mom was still so concerned when I came home. She was like, you don't have to go back. Like, why are you still so sad? Like, I'm just so lucky and fortunate to have figured out how to accept who I am and accept what I want to do, how to love myself, and just kind of get myself out of that. In this entire past year, I've learned how to handle all of this and, like, go through my depression and go through these bad days and still understand how to, get myself out of it. It took work, but I'm just so grateful that I was able to go through that. This is kind of what I want my channel to be about. Like, I want to be able to talk to you guys about the hard stuff, and you guys be able to do the same, and we talk about how we handle things and just help each other. And for my dad, I ended up telling him over the summer. He obviously was not really that happy. He was honestly mad at me, upset, didn't talk to me for like around a week after I told him. But I just emphasized to him, we both want me to be successful. Like, I just had a different way of getting there. And, like, now I feel like I can actually be successful with the path that I'm going on. Like, I don't have to compete with other bio people or medical people who are actually truly passionate about medicine. Now I can stay in my own lane and focus on myself and do what truly interests me. I have goals that actually matter to me that I can work towards. I appreciate that so much. So sorry, this is kind of a long story. It was a really long journey, but thank you guys so much for listening to my story. I hope this helped to even just shed some light on very common things that are happening in college. If you know anybody that is going through something like this, please send it to them. If you guys have it in your hearts to like or subscribe to this channel, please do. I appreciate it so much. And I'm just really excited to start this journey with you guys. Next week, I will be talking about the first book that I read that absolutely changed my life. And I'm not even a reader, okay? So don't even think, like, if you're not a reader, like, this isn't for you or whatever. Like, this was crazy. This just made me, like, realize all my like crazy goals and aspirations were possible, and it totally is. It all starts with mindset. So if you guys are willing to put in the work and work on yourselves and work towards your goals, then this is for you. So I'm really excited. I hope to see you guys there next week. Bye.